To this end, bus, taxi, and e-hailing, meter taxis, shuttle services, chauffeur-driven vehicles, and scholar transport vehicles are permitted to carry 100% of licensed carry capacity for any trip not regarded as long-distance travel. Long-distance travel refers to any trip that is 200 kilometers or longer. Now, that is in terms of even our law of the country. The National Land Transport Act defines what is long distance, and it says it is 200 or longer, and that is how it defines that. And so long distance in this instance will refer to that in terms of our regulations. Commuter rail is permitted to carry 70% of licensed carry capacity following extensive consultations. Stakeholders, we noted the need to increase on the loading capacity within the public transport sphere. We further noted the need to tighten the mitigation measures linked to the increase in the loading capacity. Consultations with health experts was undertaken, and their additional recommendations in the face of the increased loading capacity were duly considered and accepted and integrated and will be implemented as such. The introduction of the additional measures to curb the spread of the virus in a 100% loaded public transport vehicle include the following. All operators must ensure that public transport vehicles are sanitized before picking up and after dropping off passengers. All public transport vehicles' windows must be kept at 5%, at 5 centimeters open on both sides. All public transport vehicles must be fitted with window jammers or blockers in order to keep the windows 5 centimeters open. Operators must ensure that all public transport vehicle doors, window handles, armrests, and handrails are sanitized after every load. Passengers must be encouraged to sanitize after they enter the vehicle and after getting off the vehicle. Any marshal or security officer who interacts with the public, who interacts with members of the public in a public transport facility must wear a cloth face mask or a homemade item or another appropriate item that covers the nose and mouth and together with face shield. Passengers in public transport vehicles are obliged to wear a cloth face mask or a homemade item or another appropriate item that covers nose and mouth throughout the journey. No person or passenger will be allowed to use any form of public transport or enter a building, place, or premises if they do not wear a cloth face mask or a homemade item or another appropriate item that covers nose and mouth. All public transport operators must put measures in place to adhere to physical distancing, to curb the spread of the virus. Intra-provincial metropolitan areas and district public transport is permitted to operate without a requirement for a permit. Long-distance travel is permitted for a person permitted to travel between provinces in terms of alert level 3. Permits as prescribed in level 3 regulations remain a compulsory requirement. Law enforcement authorities have a duty to enforce compliance with the law. This is a necessary evil whose sole purpose is to curb the spread of the virus across provincial epicenters. Our commitment to preserving human life cannot be sacrificed for expediency. Mini and minibus taxi vehicles may not carry more than 70% of their maximum licensed passenger carrying capacity for long distance, intra-provincial level, and permitted inter-provincial travel. Long distance bus services are permitted to carry a maximum of 70% of their permissible passenger carrying capacity for intra-provincial and permitted inter-provincial travel. Long distance rail operations and travel remains prohibited. Transportation of liquor is only permitted for movement from a manufacturing plant to storage facilities, as well as transportation from manufacturing facilities to exit port for export. However, transportation of liquor for sale, dispensing and distribution to customers is prohibited. Equally, there will be those who are overzealous and they have an uncontrollable desire to get drunk and sell alcohol, who will defy the regulations. And even in their case, the rule of law will bite, because that is not permitted. The validity period for all public transport operating licenses and accreditation certificates for tourist services that expired during the lockdown period will be deemed valid for a further period of 90 days. This is to enable the provincial regulatory entities and the national public transport regulator sufficient time to deal with the backlog and allow affected operators to renew their operating licenses and accreditation certificate for tourist services. Following our announcement on the 29 June 2020 on domestic airports permitted to resume operations, we hereby today announce that the following additional airports have met all the requirements of South African Civil Aviation Authority and will resume operations from the 21st of July 2020. The Premier of the Eastern Cape will be happy with this one. East London Airport will be open from the 21st of July. George Airport, the Minister of Economic Development in the Western Cape will also be happy. George Airport will be open, and Kimberley Airport will also be opened from the 21st of July. I thank you.